¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien. I feel like I live in a giant shipping container with relatively nice furniture. I call this the square. This house is just basically like a giant square. It's just one giant square. Literally. I just live in a big square. I'm a square. All right, so man, people texting me already. So, Jack in the Box. I didn't do it. Yeah. Yeah, I went to Jack in the Box yesterday. I had a lot of stuff to do in town, and I was running around and running all these errands, and I just went to Jack in the Box and got a couple tacos. The two tacos for whatever, $1.80. Those are good tacos, though. I know they're probably not even considered actual food, but they're tasty. That's why I try to only have two of them. I just basically wanted to kill the hunger until I got home to eat normal food. But they're good. They're good. It's good tacos. So, anyways, today I am kind of busy today. I ran out of coffee pods, so I have to do a Costco run. And I'm probably going to spend $800 at Costco today. So I took a shower, I shaved, and I am going to drive down to Costco. And I got to get a lot of stuff. A lot of my Costco stuff. But I get a lot of the bulk items. So anyways, also, going to Jack in the Box, I also stopped into this little store, the Family Dollar, and just got these little, backup coffee or whatever, just to, I had a cup last night, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go to Costco today because my schedule, but it looks like I am going to be able to go, so I had a coffee last night. I'm going to have a coffee right now. Let's give that another 30 seconds. Oh, I'm so glad that my two instrumentals are finished. They're just finally. After Burnout is a theatrical instrumental, and it's 6 minutes and 36 seconds, and it's kind of the song has three parts to it. So it's really like a little journey, right in the middle of the song. You're just, when you're done listening to After Burnout, you feel like you've been through something because the song has three parts. What's up? So I got these little instant coffees yesterday. I ran out of coffee pods. That's basically what's going on. So yeah, After Burnout, I completed that song in 4 days. And that was Instagram DM from some fucking crusader, truther, just, dude, man, people are just going off on socials. It's just hilarious. It's entertaining, I think, I don't know if you fall under any kind of flag or if you're political or religious, but like a lot of that conspiracy shit is just so, it's almost just funny at this point, It's just, it's funny. It's funny. some of it gets a little out there, you know. Even, I'm pretty open-minded, but some of it, even for me, some of that conspiracy stuff gets just out there. It's just like, okay, come on. When they start saying like celebrities, or there's like one, serpent being that's like five different celebrities, it's like, come on, dude, that's crazy shit. That's just out there. But I'm sort of, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of simulation theory, but I have, sometimes I do 1.5 of these. I do 1.5 of these for instant coffee. I feel like two's too much, one's not enough. What is that, a 12 ounce cup? So anyways, I have all my little theories too. I have my little thoughts, and one of them is the not the control pyramid. What do I call it? The perception pyramid? I'm forgetting my theories. I haven't talked about them for a while. Perception. Basically, it kind of goes along with simulation theory, where it kind of goes along with simulation theory. It's the is it called the perception theory? I'm totally flaking on my own. It's basically the organic and digital. When you keep researching organic and digital, they come to a point, meaning they're basically the same. And it's like that, with everything. Any kind of opposites you could think about, even political, Democratic, Republic. When you keep researching, it comes to a point. It comes to like this sort of I have been live and I've explained it really well, but my brain is not turning in that way this morning. So it's really hard for me to explain the perception theory, or I think actually, it's called the pyramid theory. That's what it is. It's the pyramid theory. So when I say that the digital and the organic could be way more similar than people think, when I say that the organic and the digital can be way more similar than people think, that's the pyramid theory. And that kind of goes along, I think, with the simulation theory, where we're in a simulation, basically all these organic plants and life on Earth and everything on Earth could be more digitally programmed than we would think. So as technology advances, it's seeming more real. And the more we research organic, it's seemingly more digital, and has this like geometry, that is, I don't want to say robotic, but the geometry of the organic is it seems more digital, is what I'm saying. So the more we research, the more we learn, the organic is seemingly more digital, and then our digital world is becoming more like organic. It's becoming more real. So it's kind of basically coming to a point. And I think all things are like that. Again, Democratic, Republic, it's just, there's a lot more examples of that, but I'm not really on that page this morning. I'm thinking about what I'm going to get at Costco, basically. Okay. 0 sugar. Italian sweet cream. A little bit of that. Mason. Dude, I love these old Mason jars. They even say, Mason on them. This one is current Ken, or it's either Kerr or Kenn. Self-sealing. This is from my grandma. This mason jar is probably from the 60s for real. So it's all old school. They made stuff so much better in the 70s and the 60s and even the 80s. In the 80s, that's when they started. In the 80s is when they started, basically Nixon opened up America to foreign trade. So back in the day, you couldn't have like a Chinese company make a bunch of crap for this country. That was illegal. But then after time went on, basically we're completely opened up to foreign trade, which is why you have all this cheap shit that they make for 5 cents and we pay them $1 to make it, and then we sell it to someone for $60. When normally, if you're investing $5 in something, you typically sell it for 15, like 3 times what it's worth. When you're selling or making something, that's kind of like the rule of thumb. Sometimes just double, you buy something for 10, you sell it for 20, or you have to make something, and you put in $10, you sell it for like 30. That's usually how things work. It's closer to the bargain system. Bargle. It's closer to the Bargle system. It's closer to the Bargle system. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? So, but anyways, yeah. So since we've been open to foreign trade, we're paying 20 times what things are worth. When this country opened everything up to foreign trade, again, now we're, paying people $1 to make something, and we're selling it for $60, And these wealthy people have this whole ideology of like, making money's not dirty. That's not evil. It's a business. It's like, when does a business become morally wrong? I know we're not communists, but still, that's what the mafia says when they kill someone. They're like, it's business, so you can't just do whatever you want and rip people off and go, well, it's business, I'm standing on business. So it's like, well, no, you're just morally corrupted. That's what you are. It's like, you're gonna get your fucking ass kicked. That's what's gonna happen. Not standing on business, you're gonna fucking get your ass beat. Damn, that's good. I'm sorry, but the instant coffee is honestly, I think it tastes a little better. I do. I think the pods are just, so convenient, and they look nice. And again, marketing and packaging. Oh shit, we're going to processed sugar, huh? That's where this is going. But again, marketing and packaging. If something is packaged well, and it's marketed well, people will buy it. It could be a shit product. Look at 90% of the things in the grocery store. They're packaged well and they're marketed well, and you want to buy it, even though they're filled with processed sugar, which is the leading cause to most ailments, is from processed sugar. There's an excess of processed sugar in almost everything, and it's really bad for our brain and our organs. Marketing and packaging. That's, a lot of famous people, they've branded themselves very well. So a lot of these really great musicians and rock stars that are famous, they're not necessarily very talented or great, but they are marketed and packaged so well. And you could do so much in a studio. Musically, you could make anybody sound incredible if you have the right producer. Me. No, I make when my two instrumentals come out, they're pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. After Burnout sounds like you're just listening to a soundtrack to a major motion picture that dropped in the last 5 years. It sounds epic. Maybe not 5 years. It sounds like actually maybe late 90s, early 2000 motion picture soundtrack. Sounds good though. I'm gonna heat this coffee up just a little bit more, and then I'll sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Knott's Berry Farm. Anybody? Log ride? Anybody been to Knott's? Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. I practically grew up at Knott's Berry Farm. I was there every day for like 12 years straight. And I'm not joking. And then I had this sort of, I don't want to say a midlife crisis, but I had this time where I had a lot of free time. I think I was like 32 or 33 years old. So I bought a annual pass to Knott's Berry Farm. And I bought the food pass, which is whatever, $600. And I bought my cousin an annual pass. Hence, you have the Knott's Berry Farm episodes on YouTube. Not on this channel. It's under DreamWorks. But I think we made 6 episodes at Knott's Berry Farm. So anyways, I was going to Knott's Berry Farm, not every day, but we were probably going maybe 4 or 5 times a month for a year. And it was great, you know. It's like, I want to go have lunch. Might as well just go to Knott's Berry Farm and have lunch. I have the food pass. I have a pass. You go in there, get a meal, get some barbecue, you know, check out the Indian hoop dance. You know, that was cool about, you know, having access to amusement parks like that. You got it like that. I got it like that. You got it like that. I got it like that. Is you could just go to the park for like a couple hours. You know, you don't even have to go all day. I would just roll up. We would go in, grab some barbecue, go to the Calicone Saloon, grab a root beer, you know, maybe watch a show if it was on, and then leave. Be there for 2 hours. Just grabbing lunch at Knott's Berry Farm. So anyways, yeah, when I think I was 33 when I was going to Knott's a lot. That was a good time in life. Right before I met Sarah. Sarah's cool and everything. I mean, she's, you know, no resentments or anything, but life was great. You know, I had the Hyundai SUV. It was paid off. It wasn't like the newest, nicest car, but it was paid off. And I had the Knott's Berry Farm pass. I had a Knott's Berry Farm pass and a car. And a great place to stay with a huge bathroom. So life was pretty good. I was going to a lot of meetings. I was doing a lot of AA meetings. Wasn't staying sober the whole time. You know, I'd go cut loose every now and then with the homies. You know, I'd go up to my buddy Drew's house or whoever. Yeah, I mean, if you want to drink, you can. You know. I haven't had a drink in 2 years and 3 months. I just don't want to drink. I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again. I just, as of today and lately, I honest to God just don't feel like drinking at all. Not even a little bit. And I don't think that's ever going to change. I think I'm completely done with. I'm going to put my drinks over here. I'm ready for the big round, baby. Man. Is that my pretty girl? Yeah, I used to drink so much. Oh my God, I used to drink a lot. I drank so much, I feel like I'm overheating just talking about alcohol. You know, uh, some of this Nautica. I Oof. Yeah, that was fun. You know what's weird about life? I'm gonna flip this camera around, so I'm not gonna be able to see. I know we've probably had like 10 or 12 people tune in, but I'm gonna go ahead and flip this camera. Do you know what's I was thinking that when I was going to Knott's Berry Farm, I was going through my notebook, and there's just this was one of my lives, one of my notes from my lives. It's just all over the place. There's like triangles and squares and circles. Oh my gosh, it says 40 years, Trevor Lexi Wright. I don't know what that means. I honestly can't even remember all this. Is that like we're gonna get married for 40 years? Let's see, I'm 41, and then we'll probably divorce when I'm 81, and then I'll marry some fucking like 30-year-old. Just kidding. Use them like old rock star. Okay, so do everything in the light. If you know, you know. Yeah, there's a lot on here. Look at that little sign down there. What is that? I remember that was from my. Oh, I was looking at something over here. Huh. Okay. You got notes from Dark Country. You got squared, you got triangled, you got circles. Archive a lot of this stuff. Look at that. I just drew like a little bottle of Patron. That is just random ass shit. Oh, I dated it November 5th. YouTube Live. 98% of beverages have refined processed sugar, corn syrup in it. I don't know if it's actually 98% of beverages, but it sure seems like it. I mean, you really have to look for stuff that doesn't have refined sugar in it. A lot of notes for Dark Country, notes for rock and roll. Some of this, it's just the notes are hard for me even to understand. So, and I wrote them. Like part of these notes says not keys, abstract, open concept, traditional, looking homes compartmentalized. Oh, okay. Sorry. That okay, so that's partly notes for rocking out, and then I was watching one of these decoration shows, and I was talking about how I don't like open concept homes, basically, and I liked compartmentalized. You know, back in the day when houses and even apartments, you know, had kitchens that were closed off, there were separate rooms. I liked that. I did. It felt comfortable. It felt like the kitchen space had its own energy. And when you were in the kitchen, you were in the kitchen. Like it was, in, you know, it was like grandma's kitchen. You know, my grandma and grandpa had a huge house in California, about 30 minutes outside of the city of LA in LA County. And anyways, they had a huge 2-story house, and yeah, the kitchen was, you know, like it's separate. I mean, there wasn't a door to a lot of kitchens back in the day. It wasn't like there was a door. Some kitchens there was a door, and I actually even like that. But their kitchen was, you know, I mean, it was kind of open concept, but it really felt like Not like this is open concept kitchen, you know. That's completely open concept kitchen. But back in the day, kitchens had they were rooms, they were separate rooms. And I know it's really hip right now to have your house look like a Russian prison where everything is like cement and minimalized to the point where there's no furniture except like two cement blocks, and just nothing. There's just nothing. It's just a big cement. I'm not into that. I don't like that. I like old school houses that have different rooms and different parts of the house compartmentalized, because you could really, especially when you have, well, even if you have a big family, or or not, I have a big family. I have a huge family. People were having more kids back in the day. So Lexi comes from a big family. She has a lot of, that's how, I have a lot of uncles, a lot of aunts. And I do have, a half brother and half sister. I always forget about my half brother for some reason. I don't know why. He's like 12 or 13, but just like a lot of my cousins, I still think of them as 7 years old, and they're all like 17 years old. They're 8. A lot of them are adults, and I still think they're 9 years old. But with going back to houses, you could just really. I'm a fan of castles, so I think of large compartmentalized houses as being mini castles. Oh, I'm sorry. I just sat on your tail and your foot. Your foot. And Ginger, can you see Ginger? She's just chilling. She's so sweet today. So I like rooms having different vibes, is basically what I'm getting at. And I think a lot of this whole open concept modern thing is, a lot of it's people pleasing. People are so into having people come over, like friends and family, and having this, postmodern, this hip open concept where everybody, could feel cool, and having a bar. It's just so all about hosting parties. And to me, I don't want anybody over at my house ever. And I would enjoy, and if I did have family or guests over, I want them to have their own room that has a different vibe than the rest of the house, like say my room or the living room or whatever, the studio. I want a music studio and a gym. I like old school, I don't like creepy. I don't want fucking like dolls and pianos and just like creepy, so you go to some people's houses, there's so much shit in their house. It's just like all this weird little items. I'm not into that, but just, I do like, kind of, I like craftsman furniture, stuff that is, I'm not a minimalist, basically. I don't want nothing in my house. I don't want to live in a fucking Russian prison in just a big cement fucking loft with a picture of fucking George Harrison and 5 cement blocks in a fucking glass bar, and there's just nothing in there. And I know some people have so much money where they're traveling all the time that their home is like a piece of art to them that they could host parties at. Well, me, I want to live in my house and never leave my house, so I want it fucking comfortable. I want cool shit to look at, and I want comfortable shit. So this piece right here, I think is neat. Right there. See that? That's cool, right? That thing is heavy. I drove that thing from California. I rented this giant Tundra truck, which was really incredible truck. It's probably one of the best trucks I've ever driven. I really like that truck. It was a 2024 Tundra. and it was a big truck. It was just nice. I like that truck. I know it wasn't a Ford or a Ram or anything, but I mean, I like that truck. So, anyways, that's a heavy piece of furniture. You know, it's cast iron, it's expensive, it's nice woodwork, but it's not much. You know, I don't want to live in a house that seems like it's, you know, these some you look at like Ozzy Osbourne's house and stuff when he was alive. It's just it's overkill. I don't want to live. I don't want to have like gold lion statue. I don't want to be Scarface. Okay, I don't want to be fucking Scarface where it's obnoxiously, you know. But I do like a hint of Baroque and a hint of classical. You know, ne- neoclassical. Just a hint of some craftsmanship for sure. You know. But it's not to the point where, you know how some of those couches have like all these like little gold balls around the end, and I'm not like, you know, those tassels, all these silver tassels and gold edges around the couch. I'm not like to that point. You know, I don't want to. I don't want something, you know, ridiculous, but you know, I do want, you know, large, comfortable sectional couches. And some of these minimalist people, I don't know if it goes into. I feel like a lot of people that are really into minimalism in their homes, I feel like a lot of those people are vegan or maybe very health conscious with. I feel like it goes, that kind of style goes, it mirrors how they eat too, you know? Like those are the people to buy, you know, specific type of salmon and organic vegetables and make some ultra healthy meal, which I'm a fan of. You know, I think that's great. I'm, you know, seems like I'm becoming more and more vegan. She's going down, sitting on her bed. She's like, all right, I'm gonna talk me to sleep. I'm gonna heat my coffee up. I can't tell you how glad I am about those instrumentals being done, especially All Things Shall Pass. I thought All Things Shall Pass. I thought that song was done like 10 times. I kept pulling the album. Oh, I gotta adjust this. I gotta so many times. I fix this. I gotta fix the EQ on the guitar lead. The bass is too bassy. It's gotta have more high end and just. And then it was too high end and too low, and then I had to make it back like a little bit more bassy, and it just was put so much work into that song. You know, with going back to, that's I think a really fun topic is home decoration. Is I'm a fan of 80s when it comes to home style, and I know some of that shit gets ridiculous, like glass walls and some of the artwork. It's, you know, kind of abstract, but whatever. Okay, so 80s, I liked how homes were decorated in the 80s. It had a flair to it. It was colorful, had an artistic flair, but obviously not too much. So I mean, it gets ridiculous with, you know, purple rugs and glass tables, and it gets much. I'm not really into the color side of the 80s decorations. Like basically take the 80s vibe and turn it black and white. Oh shit. That's genius. Okay. I'm copywriting that. Yeah, so the 80s vibe with like more of a earth tones and more like metallic brown colors and less fucking neon colors. Like this this shirt is very 80s for some reason. This color is very early 90s and very 80s. This is actually very early 90s. If it was 80s, it would be a little more, it would be just a little brighter. If it was 80s, it'd have like some abstract color splashes on it. And this is pretty much early 90s. This is a very early 90s color right here. So, I really like the couch in my apartment in Portland. I'm sure you could go back on YouTube videos and find a video with the couch. That couch was $900 and brand new. It was actually a gift from my brother in the Greek Orthodox Church, and him and his wife bought it brand new for me. God, I look back at that, it's like so kind. You know, who does that? Who buys a young guy in his 30s that doesn't have a lot of money a brand new fucking couch? Nobody fucking does that. So anyways, that couch was it was a leather couch, and it was tan, and it was kind of one of like a low, it's kind of like a low couch, but it was a pretty good size. And when I got that couch, I was in my studio apartment. So it seemed like I was on my bed more. I was never home. I was always working or doing something. But when I was home, I usually just went straight to bed. Like cook something in the kitchen. I actually that was an old building. I mean, I want to say it was a nice apartment. It was that building was from the 1930s. So the building was old and the appliances were all from the late 80s. So I think most people would not want to live there, but I thought it was a really nice apartment and the location was incredible and it was a corner unit. But I mean, everything did work. So anyways, basically I was either in the kitchen or sleeping. Going back to when I was going to Knott's Berry Farm a lot, like I was 33, I was going to Knott's a lot, and I look back and 33 is so young, because I'm 41, and I know some people are thinking, well, 41 is really young too, but 33 is really young. And I remember I was getting sober, so I basically felt really strong at 33, physically strong. I felt physically and mentally way stronger than I thought I felt. Because believe me, when you get to 41 is a different feeling than 33. And then when I look back at 26 and 27, I'm like, damn, I was like a kid. As far as when you're 26 or 27, you basically have the same physical and mental energy as when you were 19 or 21. And you don't think so. You think you're 26, 27, you think you're getting old, you think you're slowing down. You're fucking not. Just wait. Just wait till you're 41 and putting on your shoes is a fucking chore and it hurts to fucking do anything. And you have to have 9 hours of sleep or you're not doing. Okay, that's what happens when you're 41. I'm talking loud, so she's running over. She does that all the time. She'll look at me like she's trying to figure out if I'm angry or not because I'm talking loud. I'm not mad. I'm just passionate, Ginger. She looks at me like, are you cool? I was like, yeah, I'm fucking cool. Just talking about shit. So, yeah, just wait. For you people that are 26, 27 and you think you're old and slowing down, you're a fucking kid. You're a kid. You're a teenager at 26 and 27. And you might be like, I don't know, I feel like shit. Just fucking wait till you're 41 and you're really going to feel like shit. And then you're going to start having a respect for people that are 80 going, damn, how are you even alive? How are you even walking around? Oh my gosh. Basically, when you're 41, everything becomes more of an effort. You know, when you're 30 and 31, you have to kind of mentally hype yourself up to do things. You have to convince yourself to get proactive mentally. Or when you're 41, you have to physically and mentally convince yourself to do shit. Running helps, believe me. For some of you people that are, you know, in your early 40s, running is so crucial, because when you're running, all your ligaments, your joints, you're warming things up, getting your blood pumping, your blood goes to your brain, you can think, you have energy, you're getting oxygen in your lungs. I don't know how people are in their 40s and don't run 3 or 4 miles a day. I don't know how they exist in life without running. I don't know if it's because I'm so tall, but I have to fucking run or I'm not doing shit. That's like, I have to go for a jog, man. It's so important. So, yeah, some of these notes are pretty out there, but my old notebook from last year is really out there. It's almost too out there. So it's cleaning up a little bit. This is good. This one is, you know, if you know, there's a certain amount of people that know some shit about what's really going on. And then there's more of the everyday type of person that believes in a lot of stuff that they think is going on, but they don't really know. And then things that you didn't think is true, you could bring that back into, you could bring things that you didn't believe in, that you disagreed with or you didn't think is true, you could bring them back into knowing or believing. Believing and knowing is different. Then you could also take things that you really thought you knew or you believed in, you could also bring that out of your circle. So that was that live. You know, I was going off on that for a while. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. You know, topic change. 3 forecast systems. That's a real thing. We have, I would say, even a forecast system in America. But just like most things we're taught, it's not what you think it is, the forecast system, as far as the ratio goes. That's crazy, man. The lyrics to No Other Way, Dark Country. That's a short song. I think that song's only 1 minute and 40 seconds. That's probably, you know, the shortest song I've ever published. Yeah, I think it's 1 minute and 46 seconds or something. But anyways, this is the chord progression and the lyrics to No Other Way. I should have dated that, but it's already recorded and published. Oh yeah, that's a good song idea. Oh, you know what? That's why I always have a pen. I love these white Pilot pens. Pilot GT. Pilot G207. If you're an artist or a creator or a writer or a business person, or for whatever reason you need pens, get these white ones because they're easy to see. You know, when you have one in your truck, or if they pop out. It's like I know when I'm writing music, I don't want to have to fucking look for a pen. I just want to see, oh, pen, white pen. I see it. You know, it's easy. It's a white pen, and they write pretty well. But this song title reminds me of another song title that I'm going to be writing. Awesome. I'm glad I saw that. So it reminded me of that other song I'm going to do. This was pretty good. This is kind of going to be on topic for what we're talking about. This is kind of on topic. You got a lot here. This was a live from maybe 6 or 7 months ago. Breaking down society and the forecast system. 15% of people are like this. 30% of people are like this. 30% of people are like this. 25% of people are like this. It's breaking down society. And that is kind of true. You know, there are some people that have no opinion on anything and fall under no flag and just don't get into anything. Probably some of the smartest, best people are like that. You know, they're not pro-Israel, they're not anti-Israel, they're not pro-Democrat, they're not anti-Democrat. They're like, I don't want to get into any of this shit. I think those are some of the best people. You know, they're not religious, they're not against any religion, they're not for any religion. I think that is probably the best way to live. But I would say 95% of society will fall in one of the 15%, 30%, 30%, or the 25%. You know, most things they teach us are just simply not true. So hold on. And I'm keeping track because it's 10:30. It's overcast. So I just there's a lot of cloud coverage. It's a really good time to actually go to Costco. It's a good day to go to Costco, and it's not too hot. So I'm gonna wrap this up in like 15 minutes. I'm just going to talk about, you know, like a lot of things they tell us just aren't true. And a lot of it's narratives. You know, they want to shape our opinion on ourselves in the world through all sorts of different avenues: pop culture, media, group conscious at schools, friend groups, you know, your liberal coffee shop you go to, whatever. They want to, you know, like, things become opinions that have nothing to do with anybody's lives become basically truth, because people are pack animals, and they know that if they're going to have these opinions and they're vocal about them, they're going to be able to fit into this 35% of society and have a friend network, basically. And it's like, they heard somebody say something, it seemed like that something was approved in the group conscious, and so now that person is just going to say it. These people that know nothing about Israel or Jews or know nothing about anything, all of a sudden they're anti-Israel. You know, they're just, you know, stuff like that. They don't know anything about anything, but they're anti or for something, and being anti or for it doesn't even really, I don't want to say it doesn't impact their lives, but it just it's not even relevant to their lives. So I think, but one of the misconceptions, something that was really popular, started to be really popular about 30 years ago, and then became really popular about 20 years ago, was, you know, oh, there's a 5% wealthy, 5% people that have millions and millions of dollars and they're wealthy, and then everybody else is check to check, you know, $20 an hour, bill paying, basically work slaves. So if you're paycheck to paycheck and you don't have a lot of money and you're just working all the time, that's totally normal because that's like 95% of the country. That's what we were told, 30 years ago. And I don't think that's true. I don't. I think that's fucking bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that. There are so many fucking people out there with really nice houses and a lot of money. And I'm from Southern California, and you go through cities like Newport Beach, you go through San Diego, people in Vegas, even people, I live in North Arizona, Prescott. It's honestly, here's the deal. A lot of the shit we're told is just not true, or it's backwardism. I think that I would say about 60 to 65% of American people have millions and millions of dollars and have tons of investments and are giving these cush salary jobs or getting inheritance or finding whatever kind of, however they have a lot of digital currency and they have a lot of money. And then there's like the 30% or the 35% of people that are the oil to the machine, basically the workhorses, people that are working for UPS, people that work at restaurants, people that work at Amazon, like the people, the blue collar jobs, truck drivers, people that are basically servants for the 65% of people that have a shitload of money and they're not doing backbreaking work. I think it's the opposite. I think they're telling people that so that the 35% slave class, low income people are basically okay with being slave class, low income people going, okay, well, I make $20 an hour. I barely have any money. I could barely pay my car payment. I barely could afford food, but it's okay because everybody's like that. When the truth is, no, you're just told that so that you continue that low mindset and you continue the low pay and you continue to keep this machine, this grid going, this New World Order grid going. People are going to have to work to keep these corporations going. As of now, AI and technology has not been able to run these corporations. It's an alternate reality that we're living in. So whether our normal reality is a simulation, I've heard people say that it's like somehow the moon reflects the energy or the powers of Saturn and it hits Earth or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I'm not saying that's is true or is not true. I don't know. I just don't know. But I will say that whatever society we have in America and the West, it's partly an alternate reality that they created. And it has a lot with ownership. It's an ownership complex. This alternate reality has an ownership complex, and it's not, yes, there's a lot of conveniences and things like air conditioning and refrigerators and all this stuff that is great to have, but a lot of it is like kind of a negative alternate reality because, for instance, all the food comes from Earth. It should all be free. But they basically were saying, okay, we own this land now, we own the trees, and we're going to sell you the fruit and the vegetables. You have to pay for it now. And you can't grow it yourself unless you have a lot of land. And if you have a lot of land, you got to pay a lot of money to have that land. Okay, the Indians lived with the land, and the Western concept is ownership mentality. My family owns this land. This corporation, this government owns this land. You have to pay your fucking dues to exist. This is unusual thinking to indigenous people. It's just a lot of effort for no reason. They've created a board game that we all have to play, and it's oppressive. The water, we're going to bottle the water and sell you water. $3, $4. When did bottle of water become $3 to $4 for water? That is crazy. And it's usually in plastic, and plastic is horrible for the planet. So a lot of this alternate reality is just not good. And it goes back to these corporations going, well, it's a business. It's like, yeah, your business is fucked up. And then you treat the people in your corporation like shit too. Yeah. You could, how do you make, $3-4 million a month and then pay, people $20 an hour? Well, I'm helping people with jobs. She's so cute. She's so sweet right now. Oh my gosh. Sometimes she's really docile. That's how she is right now. She's really docile and light. That's such a sweet girl. Brother's gonna have to brush your teeth. Brother brushes your teeth a lot harder than mommy, huh? That's right. I'm gonna brush your teeth really good tonight, baby. So, yeah, the alternate reality, it's, the older I get, if I had more money, I would completely try to discontinue going along with this alternate reality. And I'm in the right place to do that because North Arizona is farmland. So you have a lot of people that are living off the land here and have farm animals and chickens and grow herbs, vegetables, have eggs. Like there's, I know like the Mennonites, there's a lot of Mennonites around here, and you will see them at the grocery store, but they're like Jews where they'll only buy kosher organic products. So the more out in the country you get, the more option for organic and kosher products. When you're living in mega cities, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, yeah, you could buy organic products there, but it's just the frequency is a lot more fast paced. So it's easy to go, okay, and everything's really expensive. So it's easy for a large part of the population to go, okay, well, I can't afford organic fucking eggs, or I can't afford, the healthy shit. So they buy the stuff that is corporate, and they make it easy and comfortable. Like I said earlier in the video, it's all marketing and packaging. I mean, these companies are obsessed. These companies watch people like me. I'm technically a truther, even though I'm pretty restrained. I'm a truther, so they watch people like me that are intelligent enough to see through their bullshit, and then they try to make their bullshit have more appeal to truthers. A lot of these corporations are removing processed sugar, which is great, but the only reason they're removing processed sugar is because a lot of people are not buying their crap anymore. And it only takes, if these big food corporations, if even 7 or 8% sales go down, that's enough to take out the processed sugar. So great job, everybody, speaking against processed sugar. Because the only reason they're going to take this stuff out of their garbage product is if they lose 7 or 8% of sales. If they lose 7 to 8% of sales because no one's buying Coke or Pepsi or any of these brands or these chip brands or candy brands or all this food that has processed sugar, if they lose 7 or 8% of their sales, all of a sudden their brand doesn't have processed sugar in it anymore. Because yeah, they save money putting in shitty sugar, but if they're losing that much sales, they're gonna change it to cane sugar, to real sugar. And they have to spend a little bit more money, so they're making their shit more organic so they could get their sales back. And really, the processed sugar is a bigger... When you could slow down people, when you could weaken people, slow them down through a bad diet, you could have more control over them, because all of a sudden they don't have the energy to do the things to take care of themselves, to live off the land. They have to rely more on this alternate reality. They have to rely more on the system to, well, we got to pay the government to basically be alive. We got to pay them to be alive and to take care of us, because we're too weak and too cowardly to live off the land and take care of ourselves. Just go along with the system, go along with the propaganda. There's always some kind of fake event they stage. Like right when people are really about to, discontinue going along with this board game they've created, all of a sudden there's this huge staged war or this huge staged political event to like get people paying more attention to them so they could have that ownership mentality. And this is how a lot of celebrities and influencers operate, is they need constant attention from people to keep their brand going. So all of a sudden they're dating somebody else, or they're doing something else, or they're launching another brand. It's just all this bullshit. Or they're traveling somewhere. It's like they're going to Dubai. It's like, who gives a shit? People have been traveling for hundreds of years. I went to London a bunch of times. I've been all over Asia. I've been, before social platforms. But now traveling is like a luxury thing, and people think they're influencers, and it gives them more attention. The more attention they get, the easier they could build their brand. And so when they start stuff, they have a lot of followers. So it's just, I always say influencers are brand whores. I know one of my music producers I work with, he says that influencers, they're like shells of people. They're not even, they've been in the public spotlight for so long that they don't even know who they are. They're just shells of people. And when you look at them, they kind of look like that, they kind of seem like that. And that's why these celebrities and stuff, I know celebrities spend so much time enlightening themselves, because they know that they're making an ungodly amount of money to push this alternate reality. So they spend so many years going to like yoga therapy and all this enlightening self-knowledge so they could seem like complete enlightened people, and they're trying to become better and better. But really it's not for good reasons. It's just to keep their bullshit going. They either go that way or they become completely destructive and toxic, just become full-blown alcoholics. But they know that living in the entertainment industry, being an influencer, being in the music industry, these are really corrupt, toxic industries that are basically the oil and the backbone of this alternate reality I'm talking about. I mean, do you know how many kids would buy guns and shit because they heard music or saw things on movies, and it keeps a power grid going? And do you know how many jobs the judicial system provides? It's not just the police. Ambulance, lawyers, attorneys, court people, therapists, rehab centers. It goes on and on. And all these people are in business because these so-called influencers, musicians, and film industry it's basically, kind of like brainwashing, the society. This is why you have people that are compliant to law enforcement, because all those TV shows you watch, Full House and all those Chips and all these, TV shows we watched in the 80s and 90s, it was always the attractive, smart people that seemed like they had their life together really well. Those people were always compliant to law enforcement. And so when you grow up, you're like, well, I want to be, the smart, attractive person that, is intelligent and has good things going for me. And so I'm going to be compliant to law enforcement, because you saw it on the TV. They taught us how to react to this, when really a lot of cops are occultists and they're into satanic um, theology, and they're basically Satanists. Not all police officers. Back in the 80s and 90s, I would say about maybe half of the cops were corrupt. But now it's most police officers are under this Masonic sort of spell. And so they're desensitized to having actually true compassion. They're getting paid relatively well to do nothing. All they have to do is just do what they're told. And if they don't do what they're told, then there's punishment, because they're all technically property of Masonic lodges. Because the Masons are the ones that, gives them money to go to Costco so their wife could have a fucking brand new Bronco. And they know if they don't support this alternate reality, they don't get their barbecue money. They don't get their Broncos. No retirement. No Vegas trips. You can't be Mr. Alpha Man with your Hawaiian fucking shirt going to Vegas, scared that the fucking CIA is gonna gaslight your ass if you don't go along with the program. Fucking domestic terrorist. So it's a little bit like a pecking order. Everybody falls in. Most people are falling into Republican hero figure. But the Republicans, they're as bad as the Democrats. They have their own, brainwashing. Nobody belongs more than somebody else. All people are equal. All people are people. It's that Depeche Mode song. So, people want to get fired up and be like, oh, we need to get all these people out of this country, and go back to their country. Well, they came here because they thought this was a good place with good people. That's why they moved here. A lot of people move here and they just end up going to prison. Now people are moving to fucking Mexico. It seems like there's better jobs in Mexico. The food's better. They use real sugar. They have better food. Good jobs. There's a lot of Americans just moving down to Mexico. It's going the other way. It's like, let's move to Mexico and have great jobs and have a great life, because America has become so toxic with the politics and mainstream news and our law enforcement agencies. Our law enforcement agencies and the reverse psychology that they use is insane. I mean, I don't watch mainstream news. I mean, I won't watch that. That stuff's garbage, man. So anyways, that's what I wanted to go live is talk about. I don't know if that was a text or private message or whatever, but that's what I wanted to go live on was that whole 4% that's super, super wealthy and then everybody else is paycheck to paycheck. I don't think that's true. I think that's bullshit. I think there's way more wealthy people out there in America, and they just are fucking lying to the 35% of people that are keeping this whole show going for them. You guys ever see that movie? It's what's it called? It's basically they're on a train. It's the end of the world and all the people are just on this train that just keeps going round and round. And there's, the poor people at, one side of the train, and they're feeding them like crap, food or whatever. And then anyways, eventually they revolt, and the people in front of the train are living like extremely well. But there's like the middle of the train, they can't go to the front of the train, they're eating them or something crazy like that, where like when they die, I don't know, I forget exactly the name of the movie, but anyways, the the people revolt and, hey Gingy, hey beautiful, she's so sweet right now. Okay, brother's going to Costco in 10 minutes, so you're gonna be here taking a nap. So basically, they eventually revolt, and they have to get through the security from the people that are in front of the train. And that's kind of like what our police are, or our National Guard. Meaning, if everybody just stopped paying random property taxes and stopped paying for everything and figured out how to live life without Wi-Fi and without cell phones, and just completely disconnected from the power grid and the alternate reality, eventually they would imprison and attack us, and then, people would basically have to fight the middleman, which is the police and the National Guard. Because there's so many jobs that are attached to police, National Guard, law enforcement agencies, border patrol, search and rescue. And then it goes along with all the training facilities, and then they're like, oh, we're the good guys because we have dogs that work for us, It's just like all the propaganda. So basically there would be millions and millions of people that would be out of that government cheese, the cabbage. That's what we call money in Russia. Like I'm Russian. Yeah, that's what we call money in Russia. Yeah, but they get most of these government employers are anywhere from $60,000 to $90,000 a year. They got their brand new Broncos. Their lives are pretty good. If you take away their government cheese and their government cabbage because no one's going along with the system anymore, they're either going to attack us or become us and discontinue the American dream. Because that's what we're in. Ultimately, America is a dream. It's not fucking reality. That's why they call it the American dream, because it's an alternate reality. It's a dream state. You're not supposed to be eating this much processed sugar, treating animals like objects, corporations, treating women like objects, corporations, just this whole, whatever this whole thing is, it's eventually going to pass. There's never been, for how many wars we've been in, we're not going to be around probably even another 20 years. I would be surprised if this country we might not even be America anymore. We might be being already ran by cults and Kabbalists, gangs, and criminals and stuff. I mean, we opened ourselves up to foreign trade, in the 70s. So that was the first step. And now with this whole New World Order thing, and I wouldn't even be surprised if the country's already compromised and we just still have the flags up. But eventually, I don't know. Look at the Roman Empire was so extremely powerful and they fell. Byzantine Empire went for 1,000 fucking years. Fortified democracy. 1,000 years. What are we at? 275 years? Whatever, under 300 years, this country. And we're not doing good. Our infrastructure's falling apart. They're not fixing anything because there's no money to fix anything, and they don't want to fix anything because they know it's already been sold out. So our infrastructure's falling apart. We're becoming more reliant on government aid. Our idolatry, our ideology is satanic and Masonic. We've been feminized. The country is not, going to be able to go on basically, every empire eventually goes down, and America will eventually go down in time. And it could be from the inside. Most likely it will be. Most likely it'll be espionage from the inside. Most likely it'll be some crazy like Russian, German patriots, like, basically not Nazis, but kind of like, Republican type, Proud Boy type people assembling up a large enough amount of people to, and they would need the military though too. Basically, half of the military would have to side with this patriotic ideology, and then there would be another civil war. And in Russia, they had, I think, 3 civil wars. They had the Red War, the White War, and then they had the communist regime. So they've had 3 civil wars in the last like 150 years. We've had 1 civil war. We're probably going to have another one. The Southern law poverty and the ADL and stuff. I mean, they're kind of fucking asking for it. I mean, they're basically harassing, people for the last 60 years. It's like they're trying to start some shit. These people are evil, man. Both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, they're all fucking lunatics, really. This is one of the reasons why I want to, basically, actually moving to Mexico actually doesn't even sound like that bad of an idea. It seems like they're more put together down there. The saying, "The world's a stage." It seems like that's really true in America, more so than other places in the world. It's like they're just sitting around thinking about, how can we fuck with people more? How can we make up more shit? How can we confuse people more? How can we oppress people more? How can we make people feel like they're walking on thin ice more? How can we tax people more? How can we indoctrinate people more? How much more power grabs can we do? Can we do any more cash grabs anyway? Can we create any more hero narratives and villain narratives? Is there any more villains we could create? Heroes? Any more shit we could? It's just one thing after another on mainstream news. And that's why when you see law enforcement, they're people, but they seem like they're detached people. Like they're not part of the community. Not like how police were in the 60s and 50s where they were members of the community. Here they kind of are. They're more so. When you live in the country, the police are kind of more part of the community. But when you're in major cities and 15-minute cities, it's almost like the police consider themselves a different class of citizens. Like, even when you see them driving around, you see a human in the vehicle, but you don't sense any type of human spirit to these people, and a lot of that is because they've been through Masonic rituals, which ultimately rips your soul out and the Holy Spirit out. And so you start thinking like a Satanist, basically, survival of the fittest. Like you start thinking robotically, and you start thinking with the language of the court. You start thinking fully in this alternate reality, and you're not a human anymore, basically. Freemasons, police, a lot of military, they fully adopted this alternate reality as their existence. And so that's why, like, normal people, people will look at them as narcs, or, if you're having like a hippie kind of gathering, or like a club or something that is universal and modern, if a police is there, they will likely ostracize them from the group conscious. So that's why cops, when they go places, they don't tell people they're cops, because people will stop treating them normally. I just don't think we really need police anymore. I don't. I think the gangs were created by the CIA and Masonic lodges, um, and they created these gangs to have bad guys so that they could have job positions, basically. I think if all masonry is discontinued and all corporations are discontinued, it would feel like the 1950s again. People would have mental clarity, and the public school system was created by masonry. I mean, they're basically like little prisons. I mean, drive by a high school in LA, it looks like a little prison. Go in the cafeteria, it looks like a little prison. They're indoctrination centers. Um, and it's all basically putting people through a bunch of bullshit. So they turn out as a bunch of bullshit adults. And then they have a bunch of bullshit kids. And then they put their kids through the whole fucking thing. The government makes money when people die and when people are born. We were born, the doctor, just how goods come in on boats to the dock. The government looks at people as like goods so these entities could feed off of our energy, and so we could build this power grid like fucking ants. So we're given a birth certificate number because we're a number to them, and we're born at the dock. It's just a stupid fucking monopoly board, and it's all meaningless, and it's useless, and it's destructive ultimately. And more people are waking up and going, you know what? I'm not going to play along with this whole game anymore. I'm not doing any of this shit. I'm going to heat my coffee up. I got to go to Costco. Oh my gosh. That was such a random stream of consciousness. This is like the pyramid theory kind of. There's like two types of people. Usually people are one or the other. But ultimately everything, comes to a point. Republican, Democratic, everything. Light, dark, you have the two lines. All that Masonic, all of that shit, it's really like abstract Satanism, It's ear candy. It sounds like, oh, that sounds actually really cool, but a lot of it just doesn't even really mean anything. And I got so many people texting me. I am gonna have to. Oh, that's long live. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I gotta take ibuprofen. So, yeah, a lot of that. You hear a lot of stuff on Instagram and YouTube, and they're talking about Masonic symbolism and stuff, and it's kind of like loosely tied into history, and it's kind of explained kind of in a cool way or whatever. But it's like going to tie you up to the paying dues and have all these obligations, and you're really going to get roped into a cult because they explain some symbols and shapes to you and how the numbers mean this and stuff. It's like, that's some like childish shit. That's something like fucking, teenagers would get into, like, Egyptian, numerology and shit. And they're basically explaining basic shit to you in an esoteric way. And you're really that impressed by it to the point where you're gonna join some soul sucking fucking cult, you know? It's and then also with masonry, you're not even supposed to be soliciting. So by going on Instagram and YouTube and explaining esoteric secrets to get views and followers, and that's technically solicitation. So technically, you're not even supposed to do that, even as a Mason. And masonry is pretty stupid, childish, anyways. You know, I mean, you should, if you're an adult, you should. You know, I feel like guys that become Masons in their 20s and 30s, they're just like basically fucked up children still. They haven't grown up, they haven't matured, and they're, you know, like in my last video, I said they're trying to find some sort of connection with how things went wrong, and they think if they join Masonry, like somehow all the puzzle pieces are going to fit, when really you're just jamming yourself up even more. You know, yeah. I said this in the video before too. If you want to become a Mason, you already have problems. You know, you're already fucked up. You should be doing the exorcist prayers in Latin, getting more busy with work, you know, going to maybe liturgy more often, or become a Buddhist, or do something else, you know, do something in life instead of, you know, trying to research esoteric wisdom. You just look like a fucking dork. And a lot of these guys are smiling out this, you know, they're talking out the side of their neck and they're smiling because they know they're like Dungeon and Dragon dorks, you know, and they think yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just stupid. But anyways, I'm gonna be going to Costco here, and I got actually, it's 11 o'clock. That was too much live. That's too much. I got shit to do. Y'all take care. Take it easy.